Excited to get another spring practice underway here, and we've got 6 specialists right now that are in house. We'll have another guy joining us this summer, and just to start with them, I think the key is always going to be for us is the talent that we have returning. We're obviously extremely excited about Sean. Stand by my statements that I've always said. I think he's the best long snapper in the country, and really challenging him to take the next step. He was a little inconsistent last year, as we all were. So just owning that and, just trying to give him more leadership within the room. I think Charles has looked really good today, strike the ball really well. He hit a 49-yarder the other day, so excited about him. His leg power hasn't gone away. He's also competing for the kickoff job that, Jared vacated, competing with Chris Freeman, and he's been a very pleasant surprise. His leg strength has been tremendous thus far. We've only been outside twice, and so, need to get outside and see those guys more in the elements for sure. But excited about him. And then Jimmy, really excited about James coming back. It's going to be just monstrous for him coming off, freshman year where he averaged over 41 yards net punt and or 41 yards over a punt. So excited for that, to have him back as well. And then we got those 2 young snappers. And then obviously in the bowl room, just talking outside linebackers, Lance is ready to take the next step. He knows that he's in position, but now he's got to finish plays. He's got to take that next step and some ownership there. Really, really, really excited about Miles Jackson. I know coaches is too, and it's just the element that he brings. He's a different cat. That's the best way I can explain it. He's different, and it's what this program needed, and he's going to make us a better football team overall. And then Andrew Turvey, a walk-on from Indianapolis, is rounding us out right now until we can get Richard Thomas here and start to get him some reps. So really excited about the group of guys that we have. Continue to recruit at a high level. We recruited a walk-on to come in and push and compete for the punting and the kickoff job, and I think he'll do just that. And then really excited about the bowls that we have on our board at this point in time. So just trying to recruit, at a high level and recruit different style type of players. Open it up to questions.
Right, Dustin, the Met.
Hey, guys, just wanted to dig in a little bit more about just Miles Jackson. I noticed, obviously, Tom's been saying a lot of great things about him. Just tell me more about just what you liked about what he's done so far, what he stood out, just what makes him good at that spot.
Sure, and again, he is a different, like I say, he's a different cat. And with Miles, he's a high attention to detail. He has a phenomenal rep base where I tell him something one time, he is so locked in, he's so focused, he's so intense. He's such an intense individual in the way he attacks every drill, every meeting. He's sitting up straight. If I pulled his notebook out, his notes are incredible, pages and pages and pages of notes. He is so locked in. I think he is completely bought into LEO and what our program stands for, and he is a perfect fit for us in that sense. I know Coach Allen alluded to it already, and just to show you the kind of respect that he has earned in the short amount of time that he's been here. Again, the Leadership Council vote. When we saw the numbers, everybody looked around the room in their staff room and was like, wow. But you see it out at practice. Cam Jones will be up talking to the group, and Cam will step back and allow Miles to speak. And and even strength coaches have been like, look at that. Like, the dude's been here. But that's because of his work ethic, his body language, his coachability, the intensity and the focus that he brings every single day has just been off the charts.
Hey, brother, how's it going?
What's up, Maddie?
I know last year's special teams, there were a lot of good things that you liked, probably some things you want to improve on. This spring and going into fall camp, what are some of the biggest things? Is it coverage? Is it return? What are some of the things that you're really looking to try to improve as far as that unit goes?
All encompassing, right? All 4 of the core, and then obviously being more consistent on PAT field goal, for sure. I know Charles didn't have the year that he expected to have. None of us expected to have. He has to be more consistent, for sure, in the way that he approaches things and prepares, and then when his opportunity is called. And we put him in some tough kicks last year, but had a 55-yarder at Maryland. So obviously we feel that he can handle those situations. When you look at the entirety of the schematic things, it comes down to our attitude and effort and how we are approaching our individual techniques, our fundamentals that we do every day. This spring, I have completely taken back on the schematic side of things and more installing the fundamentals and the techniques. When you look at our depth chart this spring, so many new faces. and we lost a lot of guys off of key special teams players. So trying to develop those techniques, those fundamentals. You mentioned the cover units. That was probably what I was most disappointed in. James averaging over 41 was solid for him. He was the second best freshman in the country, according to PFF. So he's right where he needs to be now. He has to be more consistent. But I think, when you look at him and how he punted last year, right, when we needed it, it wasn't what we needed. And that is the biggest thing for him. When we're backed up and we're punting out of our end zone, he has got to get a good ball off. And I think that's going to be key for him, is continue to put him in those pressure situations and understand, the elements that he's kicking in. But outside of that, our coverage, our gunner play on the outside was so depleted that we've got to find guys to step up, and I have to do a better job personally of making sure those guys are ready to go every single week. And on Hammer team, our kickoff unit, we had the one big one that we let up. Obviously, that cost us the game, in my opinion, and that starts with me. But to me, that is an attitude and effort play. And those guys have to understand the situation that we're in. I have to coach that better to get them to understand the situation, that you only get one shot at this, and when that ball's kicked, you are flying down the field, and you're wrecking anything that comes in your path and making the plays. So, which we've shown to do at times as well. So we have the ability to do it, but to do it consistently is going to be critical for us. I feel really good about our depth at punt returner. However, I felt really good about it a year ago, and within a week span, we lost 3 punt returners in a week span. DJ went down, Reese was already down, and then Dave Ellis was out, and those were our top 3 punt returners. Boom, 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 and it happens just like that. And so we put a guy back there that wasn't as comfortable, so we started attacking protections a little bit more, and I thought that was good for us. That was a positive that we need to build off of. We've shown the ability to go make game-changing plays and block some punts and score some touchdowns on special teams, and we got to continue to build off of those positives while reinforcing the consistency of what we're trying to do in those coverage units.
Jim Benton.
Hey, Coach. Good morning. Thanks for doing this.
For sure, Jim.
You talked about coverage, of course, preventing explosive plays, but on the other side, needing to have explosive plays, obviously. Talk about, for a team like Indiana, who is trying to compete with, let's be honest, some of the bigger programs in the country, Ohio State and those guys, how critical special teams are to the success of this program.
Well, it's vital. I mean, it's when you look at the games, right, 2 years ago that we were in, we outplayed Ohio State on special teams in the shoe, okay, 2 years ago, right? So in the COVID year, we outplayed those teams, and that allowed us. We outplayed Penn State on special teams when we beat them at home. And you don't see, right? I mean, we didn't score a touchdown, but we outplayed them physically. We did tackle them down inside the 5. We got an interception against Penn State 3 plays later, and our offense got the ball on the 2-yard line and we scored, right? But special teams backed them up. That's where we have to be more consistent. That's where we have to continue to attack. But it is critical for us. And even in games that, outside of those big 3 or big 4 or whatever you want to call them, right? The leaders of the Big Ten, okay, we have got to show up and we've got to continue to create those. There's so momentum changing, and that's what I think our guys are starting to understand is a big play like a pump block, it becomes contagious. And it's a trickle-down effect, or a big tackle on special teams, or a big return. You pop a big punt return, which we saw 2 years ago. We popped a bunch of them, right? And it becomes contagious. The field position, your offense feels better about its starting field position. They're allowed to take more shots. So it is so vital and so critical, and it's the first play of every game. And you can come out and make a statement from the first play of every game. I thought, you look at Michigan State, they tried to run a reverse on us in the first play of the game, and we smoked it, and our team came out hot. And that's a one-score game right there that we got to finish and win, right? So, again, it is so critical to start on a high note, and it is huge for, just the ebb and flow of the game as well.
It's good to see you, man. One thing, though, too, I think, last year was a disaster on every level. But in regards to special teams, though, too, there were several times where there's like punts, fielded inside the 10 or 5 or 2 even a couple of times. Kickoffs that were just sort of mishandled. Where, like, how much has to go into this year just in regards to being smarter, too, in regards to decision making and stuff like that on plays like that? Because that impacts the game just as much as a big play does when you're starting in such a big hole.
Sure, it definitely does. You're totally right. And, that's me doing a poor job of educating these guys. Now, I will tell you, sometimes we do tell them to field punts inside the 10. Inside the 5, absolutely never. But look at the punters that we face. And when you pull up their stats, there was 3 punters in the Big Ten this year. The Stout from Penn State, the young man from Rutgers, and there's one other one that all finished top 10 all time in net punting. All time. So we're talking about 3 of the best seasons punters have ever had in college football. And what those guys are able to do, they're all seniors, right? They're all older guys. They've been doing it for a while, but they can literally punt the ball and put it out the 1-yard line. It's incredible, the skill set, and that's a reason the majority of those guys are going to go on to play at the next level. I saw Stout down at the Senior Bowl, and he's incredible, right? So they're so skilled that sometimes you tell those guys, hey, if the ball has great hang time, right, we tell them, hey, heels on the 5, catch everything in front. If we have to take one step back as a returner, let that thing go. Now, we got to do a better job of selling that. Coach Shelby is going to be in charge of our returners. He was in charge of the returners back when we had Jay Sean Harris. I'm very excited about that. I think he's going to just bring a new energy and life and just do a phenomenal job of getting those guys coached up and making sure they understand exactly what we want out of that position. He's really challenged them, and I trust him. I mean, he's one of my closest friends, and so I know he's going to do an unbelievable job with that, and I'm just excited to kind of let him run with that because he can do that easily. But handling the kickoffs, right? We talk about the elements, and it is contagious, okay? And there's no doubt in my mind, we bobble a kickoff, we don't make a good decision, it backs up our offense, and our offense is looking at us going, man, we're starting inside the 20, what are we doing, right? So we got to be smart. That was the reason for so many fair catches in certain games. You look at our opponents' kickoff teams. Michigan was number 1 in the country in kickoff coverage, number 1, right? So you have to give some ebb and flow, and you got to look at, we're so banged up in certain games and how many guys we got out there, that are new or in an unprecedented position and on the road. I have to coach them better. I have to get them better prepared. It starts with me first and foremost. But there is some schematic adjustments that have to be made, personnel-based for sure, and we've got to make better decisions as coaches and better decisions as players and educating our guys to understand that environment and the situation they're in.
If I can follow up real quick on something.
Yep.
So is there the logic between fair catching the ball on the 5 then? Is there like analytics or stuff that backs that up that that's a good decision?
There is. Now, it's not always, and it's game to game, right? So, like, for example, a young man from Rutgers, he can dance the ball out at the 1 almost consistently if he's on a certain hash. So we may tell him, hey, if they're in a situation that they're on the plus side of the 50 and they're going to punt the ball to us and he has a bunch of hang time, number 1, he holds the ball forever, which allows those guys to cover down the field. Well, we don't want that ball to hit and roll, right? And they could just sit there and wait on it, and it stops on the 1-yard line. We would rather, put our heels on the 5, come up to field the football in that situation. But it isn't always every single punt. There are analytics based off of those individual players, how talented they are, and that is something that you'll see more teams go to as well. I mean, we're not the only team that does that, but it is strictly game plan based. It's strictly based off of the skill of the punter. I don't anticipate it's not a thing that we should be doing every week. So if we're doing every week, that is completely on me as a coach. Our guys don't understand that, who the kicker is and the skill set that they have and the coverage that they have, if that makes sense.
Right, Sammy, then Dustin.
Good morning, Coach. How are you?
Hey, Sammy.
I wanted to ask about just going through the drills of spring ball of getting live reps for special teams. It looked like James Evans needed to be more consistent, but he was better against a heavy rush. Returning kicks and all that stuff, which are plays that lead to more injuries. How do you, as a special teams coach, incorporate kind of going live, but also protect guys from those catastrophic injuries on those plays?
Everything's at the point of attack. So today we worked on our kickoff return unit, right? So I don't need to see our frontline guys sprint 20 yards back, turn around and block somebody. I'll take the guy that they're blocking and put him 5 yards in front of them. So we're telling them, hey, look, you've already got your drop. You're in position to make the block. Now it's the execution of the block at the point of attack. So that's the way that we do it. But from that 5-yard window, that guy that's running down, we expect him to act like he's on our kickoff team, and he is full speed trying to get through a gate of cones that we have out there, right? And as the kickoff return guy, it's only a 5-yard box, but my job is to keep him from getting through there using my technique, my leverage, and what we teach blocking wise. So that's a major thing for us. Now, I will tell you, Saturday, this Saturday and last Saturday, we went live rush on punt. Okay, so that is critical for us in those situations. We got full pads on. I'm bringing heat after these guys, and I'm scripting it to put them in the most pressured positions, right? I think James' one step is good. I'd like him to be more comfortable. I think he's definitely more confident now than he was obviously a year ago or even 4 or 5 months ago. Okay, he's definitely more comfortable and confident now. But putting those guys in those pressure situations, understanding how teams may attack our protection on punt is critical. So on Saturdays when we got full pads on, we're bringing live rush at those guys. It's not every single rep, okay, because you want to have some teaching and some situational things done as well. But compacting the drills, taking the wear and tear off of their legs. I don't need to see our kickoff team run 70 yards to cover a kick. I will compress it, and we'll do it by zone. So our guys on kickoff, again, today we worked on a technique that we call shock and snatch, and that is engaging in the blocker when I'm within 15 yards of the returner, and the technique I use to get off the block and go finish and make the tackle. Again, that's about a 10-yard box that we're using in that. So instead of running down 70 yards to cover a kick, and in the last 15 yards using this technique, I'm compressing the drills. It allows us to maximize our reps. It allows us to film everything. We rep count guys, who's taking this rep. We rep count, we track everything, and then we have competitive drills that we also do throughout spring ball where we're tallying winners and losers. And it's, hey, I'm trying to get off this block and go down and make a tackle, and it's my job to block you and not allow you to get down there within 2 seconds. So, just we compact everything as much as we can, take a lot off, stress off their legs, but focusing more on the technique and the fundamentals of at the point of attack of each drill.
Right, that's the last one.
I mean, how did you guys sort of evaluate the total production, I guess, of the bull position and sort of how it fit with the whole scheme of the defense last year? Obviously, you guys had used it before, but more consistently last year. And what do you view as what you guys want to do with it going forward as you change up a little bit on defense and try to get more havoc on?
Sure, and I think the last 2 years, it's a position that continues to evolve. I feel like we have the right personnel more than ever. And bringing in Miles, I think he's going to be, like I said, he's a different cat. I think he's what I'm looking for right now as I go on the road recruiting. What he is bringing to this football program, he's what I'm looking for to continue to recruit. So I think his skill set and what he does, as you guys will see in the fall more so, I think is how we're going to evolve the position schematically. When we went back and looked at things, probably had too much on their plate. And we're trying to narrow it down. I think we let ourselves get a little crazy with it positionally, asking those guys to do a lot. It is an extremely unique position on what we're doing, asking them to do. They have to have skill sets on almost all 3 levels. A defensive line pass rusher, right? Okay, so a guy that can hold against the run as well on the interior. We will use them at levels of the linebacker, playing hook drops, curl drops, flat drops, working over the middle of the formation, spying and adding in the rush, right? And then also playing man-to-man at times on a weak side number 2 or a back out of the backfield or a tight end in the flat. So you're looking at 3 different skill sets, right? And trying to find a guy, again, that's big enough and physical enough, strong enough, athletic enough, all those things. It is a unique skill set. I think I don't want to say dumbing down, but narrowing down, kind of what we're doing schematically there is going to be critical, in a sense for him and for those guys to understand the defense and the fits and what we're asking them to do. But the skill set and what we're asking them to do too has to be overlapping. And I think we're starting to see that now as we're piecing this thing together more with, Coach Allen and Coach Wilt and Coach Randolph's style. And I think, just kind of gelling and meshing everything that we've done the past couple of years together and bringing that together, I think is going to be great for us.